Hey guys, Charlie here. In this video we're going to be taking a look at a game by the name of Book of Demons, developed by Think Trunk, I believe the developer is called. I think it's a Polish developer. And Book of Demons is going to be the first of 7 games in the series that they're calling Back to Games, which essentially is or at least are a throwback to some of the old classics from before. Now, most of you, at least for those of you who've played Diablo, will immediately notice the theme. We have all the crows on the trees, we have the chapel in the background, of course the well, we have the old guy, stay and listen for a while. So the connections are clear. There are basically 4 characters in town that when you are between dungeons, you're going to come to town to do various things. The healer heals you, obviously, if you need either mana or you need health. This guy will do it. He does sell something called Death Rage. This is not in the early access version of the game. I did forget to mention the game is still in early access. So there are some features missing. Then we've got the barmaid. She has gossip, which is basically all the story related stuff, which I'm not going to go into now because spoilers. And then of course she deals with something called the magic cauldron. Now this is an interesting mechanic. As you level up your character during the game, you will get 1 point each time you level to add into either your mana or your health. And then 1 point of the opposite will go into the cauldron. Here under life and mana. On top of that, as you dungeoning, you're going to pick up ingredients that are going to go into the cauldron, which will be listed as prizes. And then once you feel there are enough bonuses in the cauldron, you can claim the cauldron for a certain amount of cash. Now this amount of money gets higher and higher each time you claim from the cauldron. However, the caveat is that if you die, everything that's in the cauldron gets lost, except for the life and mana bonuses. Those stay here, so you can just claim them, whenever you feel like. She also sells golden keys, which you can buy as well. Golden keys are not yet in the early access version of the game either, but apparently they are saying that getting golden keys will allow you to do master boss runs. Because once you finish the actual storyline of the game, you won't actually fight any more of the bosses. You'll just be doing dungeons over and over. And I believe these keys are going to allow you to fight the bosses. Then of course we've got the sage, again with the gossip section, but he also has a bestiary, so any of the mobs that you've come across in the game will be listed here just for your own information. And on occasion you'll pick up unidentified cards, because this is somewhat of a deck building game as well, which you can identify from him. And then secondly, you only start the game with 3 slots on your action bar. You can pay him to unlock more slots. And you can see in my particular save, I've actually unlocked all the slots. I'm nearly at max level, I believe. I've played this game a fair amount. And then finally, we have the fortune teller, which again has a gossip section. I have no idea why this particular piece of gossip is missing. That's a bit weird. I guess I'm going to have to play through the normal mode again or something to unlock that. But she can basically upgrade the cards that you find. So you can see you will pick up 4 types of cards essentially. You've got your rune cards, you've got your consumables, which are the red cards. So these cards don't cost mana, but they each have a number of charges on them. They can be recharged as well from the fortune teller. And the higher the upgrade of the card, the more charges the cards can carry. You've got the artifact cards, which are essentially passive bonuses. So the passive cards are going to sit here and give you certain bonuses. For example, the shield will block incoming missile attacks. Now you can see most of these cards are fully upgraded in my case. And then finally you've got spell cards, which are your active abilities, which are abilities that you actually have to use by pressing the number keys. You can see I have 3 of those equipped. And then of course, as I mentioned, you get these upgrade cards. So each of these cards has 3 stars. You can, if I give you an example here, if I click on the skeleton belt, you can see it requires 2 sun runes. So the card will go into here, I can just add 2 sun runes and then I can upgrade it. If I don't have the correct runes, you can see I can combine lower runes to make better runes and the 2 better runes to make the best rune. And sometimes you can pick up these truth runes in the game, but that's pretty rare, but more common than not. I suppose you can pick up these, but these are the most common obviously. You'll notice that the green cards also have a maintenance cost. So you'll see these are green, whereas the active cards are blue. And then you'll notice in my mana ball here that I have a large section of my mana ball that's green and a small section that's blue. And what this means is that it's costing me, if you look at the bottom here, 73 mana in order for me to maintain all of my passive cards, which leaves me with 21 blue mana to be able to cast my spells. So if you upgrade them too early in the game and you use up all your mana in green, you won't have any spare mana to be able to cast spells. So there's a little bit of a balance when you're setting up your deck as to what kind of balance you want. Are you only going to use passive skills? Are you going to use more active skills and that kind of thing? Which is obviously going to depend entirely on your style of play, I suppose. Unfortunately, there aren't a great deal of cards. You can see I've unlocked all the cards in the game. There are only 7 active spell cards at the moment. And there are 16 artifact cards and 9 item cards. I think I would have liked to have seen more cards. I do believe they're going to be adding more cards into the game. And I also believe that with regard to the other classes, they are going to have entirely different spell cards and maybe some different artifact cards, but there are going to be some crossovers as far as I can tell. That's pretty much it. You also can click on your character profile here and you can see I have a level 44 legendary warrior. Level 50 I believe is the max level in the game. And the look of your warrior changes as you level up. So you reach certain thresholds in the game and the actual look and the armor on your warrior changes. And if you're into stats, you've got the expert panel here, which gives you a bunch of different stats as you would expect in the game. A fair amount of stats. You can see here I've died once. This was when I first started the game and I was still learning the game. But I've played a fair amount now and I've not died, even though I'm playing on nightmare mode. So I do have to say that the game is relatively easy. So I've done all of these dungeons all the way down, fought the boss here at the Master Quest, fought the next boss here at the Master Quest, fought the Anti-Pope, the Archdemon. And then eventually you unlock what they call free play mode, which is essentially the same thing all over again. And then you can just play through the different dungeons here as well. You can see I've gone all the way down here. But the thing with free play mode is this. Now, let's say I wanted to start a map. I would click on begin game. And you can see here I can choose whichever tile set that I want. So whatever your preference is, which is nice. You can also click random over here. So it's going to randomize the types of monsters that are going to be in your particular game. And then you can also select your difficulty over here. So you can see there's normal, hard, and nightmare. They did something a little bit odd. Once you finish the story mode, you have to play free play mode on normal. And the more you play normal, this hard bar starts to fill up. And once it reaches the end, then you unlock hard. You can play on hard. And then, of course, the same happens for nightmare. And because I've been playing on nightmare, you can see that the massacre difficulty is filling up here. And when this gets to the end, I'll be able to play on massacre. If I play on normal and I die, I'll lose 20% of my gold. And bosses curse 2 to 4 cards. Now what that means is the bosses are going to randomly curse cards in your hand, and when those cards are cursed, you are not going to be able to use them. They are going to be disabled essentially. And then of course, once you've unlocked hard, you can see the gold loss on death is 30%, which is quite steep. But the cards cursed by bosses, by a single boss this is 3 to 5. You can see obviously that increases from 2 to 4. But now there's imposed cards as well, and that means that 2 cards will randomly be forced into your hand that you are not going to be able to swap out. So you're going to have to build your deck around those cards. And then of course when you play Nightmare, you can see you lose 40% of gold if you die, and bosses curse 4 to 6 cards. But yeah, this does change things up somewhat and does make the game more challenging. And when they say cards cursed by a boss, if you encounter 2 bosses at the same time, because you can easily sort of go to the AoE of 2 different bosses, you could potentially get between 8 and 12 cards cursed, which is going to negate a large amount of the cards that you have to play, which kind of turns those encounters into somewhat of a nightmare, excuse the pun. And then of course massacre mode, I'm assuming that's just going to up the ante. I'm not sure how I feel about the way they've done the difficulty. I mean, losing 40% of your gold, you can see I have 198,000. Losing 40% of that on death, it seems a little bit steep to me, on top of actually losing a card. And then you can see the amount of cards that are cursed and the imposed cards. It really forces you to play with essentially a predetermined deck of cards. And to me, yes, I understand that adds more challenge to the game, but at the same time, I feel that it removes a little bit of the fun factor for me in the game, because everybody plays a different way. Everybody finds a hand that suits them. I know when I'm playing in a game like Diablo, you come across a build that you really like and you want to be able to use that build but be challenged while using that build rather than being forced to use an entirely different build every time you play. Okay, so you can begin the game. Then you can see free play mode opens up. You can, as I mentioned, you can choose your tile set, which essentially governs the type of mobs you're going to fight, basically, because certain mobs are connected to certain types of tile sets. But you can also randomize things over here. Then you can choose a difficulty. So I think for the purposes of this demo, I'm going to just click on normal. And then you've got something called FlexiScope, which is the in-game system which will divide your run into a certain amount of time. So you can see a very small, if I click on that, I'll get 6 rewards. Progress is irrelevant in free play mode. And then I'll get 15,000 gold. But if I click on small, you can see the rewards go up and the gold rewards go up, but as do the length of the dungeon. So you can see, of course, I can go to very big, and it estimates this will take 43 minutes. And you can see I have 6 floors of dungeon to go through. I'll get 25 plus rewards and 63,000 gold. As I said, the progress is relevant here. The progress is when you're actually playing through the storyline, which I believe you only do once, because once you've done that, you'll be playing in free play mode. And then you can see it's going to show you what mobs are available in that particular dungeon. Obviously, I've encountered them all because I've finished the game, and it'll show you how many of each of these mobs you've killed. So you can just go ahead and click on the dungeon. That'll take you inside. And here we are. So now you might be looking and wondering, how does this game work? Well, you're stuck to walking along a path. So you can't walk. Okay, we have, oopsie, I didn't mean to click on that. You're stuck on a path, so you can't really walk anywhere you want. So you can use your WASD, or you can click with your mouse. So you can walk back and forth along the path. We have some hostiles over here. So you can just click on these crates to break them. You can click on your chest to open them. You have a decent amount of range. You can see at the top here. Okay, let me just kill these guys. They're making a large amount of noise. Okay, so you can walk around the path. You can see there's footsteps showing you where you've been. If it's gold, that means you've explored that entire area. You can click with your mouse as well, and your guy will just keep walking along the path. You'll always stop at intersections. You can also change out your cards, and the game slows down into slow motion at any point during the game, at which point you can just go into your cards here. So, for instance, I can swap out this, and I can change. Don't need that, don't need that, don't need that. And again, this is all going to be personal preference as to what cards you decide to take in your hand. And where is my mana recharge? There we go. And finally, boots. So I've chosen Mighty Blow, and you can see this card deals a massive amount of damage to a target and stuns them as well, and immediately destroys burning hearts and frozen hearts. This armor will remove monsters with shields. Certain mobs have shields on them, and normally you'd have to break through the shield, which you'll see in a moment. Blade Storm is sort of an AoE attack. The boots allow me to walk into fire without getting burned. My axe causes a fire AoE for the mobs. So you can see here, you can see the fire that's burning underneath them. Normally walking into that would damage them. You can see these guys have fire hearts, so I could, there we go, fire just burns them. The frozen flail will slow them, and my dagger will allow me to instantly kill them, 45% chance if they are wounded. And then of course Amulet of Mana recharges the 16 mana I have. I believe I get 60 mana over a minute. And then of course my final one is the health potion, just in case I need it. Like Diablo, you've also got pools of health, so you can see I can click on those if I need to get health back. Monsters that cast spells, you can click on the little spell casting icon to interrupt the spell if you want to. Kill this guy. So you can see now that I've explored this corner, it shows me there's only one undiscovered prize left on this level. You can see I got a ruin, an upgrade card there. Okay, interrupt this guy, kill him, break that. Okay, so you can see this is all gold now, which means we've explored this entire area. So we just need to go down this section or up this section. So I can just click with my mouse as well. My guy will walk there. And you can see there's absolutely nothing here. So this is going to highlight into gold. This refills mana. I can open this chest. See, oh, got some gold here. This purple one will refill both health and mana. Let's go through here. Okay, so here we're fighting a boss. You can see the boss is going to curse 4 of my cards. Quite a few. You'll notice that those cards are no longer useful to me. You can see I'm poisoned now, so I need to click on that to get rid of the poison. I'll use a health potion to get my health back. I cannot use my Blade Storm to destroy these monsters. Now the boss effects are going to be affecting you until you actually kill the boss, which can be a little bit challenging. I don't have my Mighty Blow spell, so I can't do big amounts of damage to him. I'm going to have to just whittle him down slowly over time. And you can see he's got 3 stages, and he'll cast a spell between each one, during which he is invincible. Unfortunately, I have to kill him the slow way. And there we go. Our dagger kicked in and killed him. And now I can see our cards become uncursed again. And let's heal up. So it's this. The nice thing is also the game tells you how many items are left in this level. You can see it says there is 1 barrel left. We can see it over here. So once I kill the barrel, it'll tell me that the level is entirely clear. And then if I so desire, I can just go and heal up or do what I want, and then head down to the next floor of the dungeon. And at this point, you can return to town if you need to refill anything or heal up or open your cauldron or anything like that. But in our case, we don't need to, so I can just click on the next floor of the dungeon and head down. The levels are procedurally generated as well. Let me just use this, see if I can kill them. Oh, I've been stunned, so he's got to mouse over all the stars. And I better use this before. This is bad. Okay, so this is a bad situation. You can see the moment we go through that door, we are going to be in a situation where we're getting pounded by a bunch of mobs. So what we could do is we have fire bombs as well. I could just replace one of our bombs here. At least one of our cards over there. Let's see if we can just throw this over, shall we? This should sort this out. Although I don't know how much damage it's going to do since there's only 1 guy left anyway. So the bombs will throw until the thing is off cooldown. It basically adds AoE fire. Okay, so we can see we have a cursed chest here. The moment we activate that, we're going to have to fight a whole bunch of monsters. And this particular boss, you can see he's got 5 stages. So you have different mobs. You know, until you destroy the shield, he is going to be kind of invulnerable, and then once you've wounded him, he is going to go to his next stage. So we can just use my Mighty Strike. He goes to his next stage, and once you learn to recognize the icons, you know exactly what he's going to be casting. So I can break the shield there, and this should finish him off, and then you get your loot. So you can just click on a mob and then move your mouse away. Your guy will auto attack him, but of course that'll be very slow. If you left click and hold your mouse over the guy, it'll attack significantly faster, which generally is the best thing to do, I find. Okay, so if we click on this, this is going to summon a whole bunch of mobs. So let's just move out of there. You can see they've got shields. So I'd have to damage the shield first. You can see I'm auto attacking him, even if I move away slightly. But I have an ability that breaks all the shields of mobs, so I could just use that. You can see it destroys all their shields. Very useful ability indeed. And once I've killed all these guys with shields, the chest should open and reward me with the prizes. So I can get all the stuff, get a nice health refill here. And you can see there is 345 gold still left on the stage. I can press Alt and it will highlight any drops that I have missed, and I think it's probably somewhere closer to the beginning then. Oh, there it is. And then it shows us that the level is clear, so we can just head down to the next stage. And then that basically unlocks the way down. So this is going to extend further down here. So if I click on this, it's going to give me a reward. My rank is going to go up. It shows you how much you need for the next rank. You can unlock new avatars and things like that. And then it shows you here, you didn't die even once, you've cleaned all the levels, and of course you killed every single last enemy. And then there's some other little achievements that you get here as well. There's a mechanic for stars. You can see this is 0. I'm not sure what this is. They haven't said. but they said this is going to introduce a new mechanic into the game. I believe that they're going to be patching that in the next major update. So yeah, I'm curious to see what that does. Yeah, and then when you come to here, you can either go not now and then head back further down the dungeon, or you can go back to town, and it tells you here exactly what is available. We can restore health at the healer. It shows us how much content is in the cauldron at the barmaid. And of course, you can purchase golden keys. I went through all this before. We have one card that is identified, which we can do. So it's nice that it gives you the summary of the things we can do, so we know whether or not we actually need to go back to town. Yeah, but that's pretty much it for Book of Demons. I am looking forward to playing some of the other classes. I will say though that at this stage I've played about 13 hours of the game, and up until now it's been really entertaining. But I found now that I've got all the cards, and most of the cards that, most of my cards are upgraded. You can see all the ones that are dark are upgraded. Some of them I don't find as useful, to be honest. I find that there really needs to be more of a motivation, like legendary cards or something like that, because at the moment, when you play on the harder difficulties, personally I don't see the point. You get more gold, but there's also a chance of losing a heck of a lot of gold, along with losing a card if you die. So the only real motivation loot wise for playing the harder difficulty is to get gold faster and to get more upgrade cards. And the thing is, once you've upgraded all your cards, what is going to be the purpose? What is going to be the end game? So hopefully they're going to do something to make the end game more interesting. There really needs to be, I think, either more cards or more abilities or some legendary special card sets that you can get or something like that. But again, the game is still in early access. But what I will say though is that after having played the demo and now playing the full game, the game is definitely worth checking out. It has a lot of potential. It's a lot of fun and extremely addictive. But for sure, when they add the new characters like the rogue in the mage into the game, that's going to be a whole bunch of new cards to unlock. So without a doubt, I'm going to come back and play then. Okay, so it's been a look at Book of Demons. As I said, my only concerns with the game are the end game stuff. There doesn't seem to be enough incentives with regard to cards to keep playing the harder difficulties. There is a Daredevil mode, which is essentially like hardcore, so if you die, it's the end of the game, then you get put into sort of a leaderboard. That might be interesting. That's something I still need to try. There is a demo on Steam that allows you to play from town all the way down to the first quest in the game, which is the cook, which is probably a good hour or so of gameplay, and it'll probably give you a good idea whether or not this game is something that you would enjoy playing. But anyway guys, if you have any questions or comments, you can let me know in the sections below. And that's been a look at Book of Demons. Hope you enjoyed the video. I've been Xiaoling. Until next time.